Hello, and we're live, and welcome to the show today. This is InspireTalk, and we're coming to you from the Gold Coast. We're also coming to you from Melbourne. We also have a guest here from Brisbane. So we're coming from all points of Australia, and this is part of the exciting thing about having an internet show such as InspireTalk, where we can do this live online without too many technical difficulties whatsoever. We've got a fantastic show for you this evening. But before I introduce our inspiring guest this evening, I want to welcome along a colleague of mine, a gentleman who is a business mentor, a business entrepreneur. He is the creator of Creative Entrepreneur. Welcome along, Federico Reid.
Hey Stuart, how are you? It's pretty cold down here in Melbourne. As you can see, I'm wearing my invisible jacket, but you know it's definitely 20 degrees cooler than what you guys are experiencing in sunny Brisbane. So it's good to be on the show again tonight.
Well, we've got to let you in on a little secret. It's not been that warm up here either, but we're not going to talk too much about that. But look, before we go on, can I ask you, Federico, just to tell us a little bit about Inspire Talk and
Sure.
what it means to you?
Well, Inspire Talk started from an idea that I personally had myself going back a couple of years of bringing together people on an online platform where we could share stories of inspiration and pretty much the stories of our past and what we've accomplished in our professions as entrepreneurs or as game changers. So InspireTalk is a platform that allows people to come together and share that story amongst like-minded people. And those game changers, can be anyone from rule breakers to innovators to explorers to serial entrepreneurs to inventors to anyone who really has done something out of the ordinary and is certainly worth looking at and learning from, so that whatever we do in our professions or in our lives, we can certainly take something from it. So it's been an interesting journey, and now that we've ran the show officially for well over a year, but rebranded only 3 months ago to Inspire Talk, it's definitely taken up a new level.
Awesome, and look, I like to think of Inspire Talk as a place where we can sort of tap into our guest's secret sauce and just let our guests know, let our audience know some of the secrets that they use to create success, create wealth, and even just to be better in their lives. So this is part of what we like to deliver with Inspire Talk. I'd like to introduce our guests, but before I do, I'm just going to touch a little bit on the comfort zone, because I think this is a relevant topic. And comfort zone is that place where we all aspire to get to. We really work hard to create a comfort zone that we like to nest in, to settle into. And one of the downsides of the comfort zone is it actually creates a false sense of security. And when we're in that comfort zone, all of a sudden we've got a fear about losing what we've created, about losing our own comfort, our own security. And so this is why I think our guest today is going to be very interesting, because we're talking about really stepping outside in a very big way. Before I go on any more about this, what I want to do is introduce our guest. He's a speaker, an entrepreneur, a businessman, and the creator of Just Dream Speaker. Please welcome along David Burkett. Welcome, David. Good to see you.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you very much. And as you mentioned, I think we're quickly coming to an ice age for the entire of Australia. It's not just Melbourne. In fact, there's a university out of the US that's announced that even in the next 15 years, they're predicting a mini ice age. But I think it's already hit not just Melbourne, but Queensland as well.
I can certainly say to you that I'm experiencing the ice age in Melbourne as we speak. Pretty cold down here.
Yeah, the focus is on not being a dinosaur, at least not to the point of extinction, but sharpening our teeth for some of us that can see what's ahead. And the future is very bright. The future is exciting for those that can see it and those who can prepare themselves for the wave that's to come in the area of entrepreneurship and business and what we discussed in reinventing ourselves for it.
I think reinvention and sorry, Stuart, reinvention and change is really a critical part of the human species, and particularly in the business space. You know, as the emergence of entrepreneurship keeps coming our way in Australia, we have to keep up with the latest trends and the latest technologies and a new way of thinking, I guess, and also, you know, embracing that online space like we're doing at the moment as we speak.
Yeah, that's right. I think that it's definitely now is definitely the time that people need to start asking themselves what they're doing in terms of looking at their opportunities, looking at trends, and looking at business as a whole to see where they actually fit and how they can position themselves and posture themselves for what's to come.
And I guess with positioning yourself in the marketplace, and I can speak from personal experience as a coach, that, you know, you can get lost in the crowd of being a business coach, and, you know, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people labeling themselves as business coaches, but you've got to find your position, your bandwidth in that spectrum, and really know in which quadrant you fit in, and then when you've identified that small quadrant, whether it's a niche, is to then be able to promote that niche and pioneer yourself within that small quadrant and really go out there with a point of difference. The risk of not doing that and joining the crowd is that you get gobbled up in the chaos and in the traffic. And in my case, all the people out there saying that they're also business coaches or business mentors, which is a very generic term used these days very loosely. So, I mean, I'd be interested to know how you go about promoting your mentorship program, given that the word mentorship is very commonly used and has been around for a long time.
Yeah, that's right. Well, my mentor was established originally just to help a few friends out who considered themselves mentors in the business and entrepreneurship space, both here locally in Australia and also in the US and in South America, Chile. And so they're friends of mine that asked me for a solution in this space, and I created a platform specifically for them and specifically for their frustrations in and around mentoring and accessing the right clients for themselves, because a lot of this work, as you mentioned, is not just about doing it, it's also about finding your space in a sea of people that can not necessarily bring a good connotation to the word mentoring or to the word coaching, but take away from the value of it. There's no successful, in fact, there's no professional athlete that goes into any realm of competition without a coach, and there's nobody who achieves any amount of success in business who can't refer to a mentor somewhere along the line that helped them along their way. And we know the story of every film script that's ever been written, which is the hero's journey. In the hero's journey, we discover that that there is times when we feel down, when we don't feel good about ourselves, and but we do have a mission and we do have something to aspire to, and a mentor somewhere along the line helps us to pick ourselves back up again and move forward, and that person plays an integral part. But for ourselves, it's very important to understand what value we provide to the marketplace as business coaches or mentors, and also articulate that value and that proposition specifically to our target market.
Absolutely, I think the value of a mentor is unmeasurable, because with the right mentor, you can just reach new heights of success and performance. And if you just look back in history, great success stories were often, a combination of the individual wanting success, but also being led by the right type of individual or mentor. And a great example, and I've written an article myself on this just recently about Aristotle and Alexander the Great, and how Alexander himself wouldn't have been who he was if it wasn't for the mentorship of Aristotle. So when you look at those historical events, and you bring it to today, what amazes me sometimes is the startup business owner often goes out there unprepared and without the mentorship around them, and they often fail because they believe they can do it themselves, because they've got the confidence or the arrogance, or they're just short-sighted about their ability to do it on their own. The actual truth is that you've got to share that success with others, or be led by those who've done it before. So I think your scheme, David, is tremendous and so much needed in the Australian marketplace, especially.
Mm.
David, I wanted to perhaps touch on what brought you to this place of providing these sorts of mentoring and coaching services. Perhaps if you could just take us back to an earlier part in your life where things were not so good, and how did everything form from there? What happened that brought you along the journey to this point here today?
Well, I came to Australia as a migrant in the mid-80s, and at the age of 6, and I actually came to live in Canberra at that stage. But there was a lot of hardships and trials that I had to face as a young person. 2 years later, I found myself in an orphanage, and a few years after that, I found myself struggling with depression. At the age of 12, struggling with depression and schizophrenia as well. So I had some major trials and tribulations that I had to face and I had to overcome in order to establish myself as just a normal person in society, or what we call a contributing member of society. And as a teenager, I was helped along the way by my mentor at that stage, who helped me to see some potential in myself and some value in myself. And I began to delve into that, and that helped me to deal with a lot of my health, including mental health issues at that stage. And so as a teenager, I was donating my time to non-profit organizations. I was helping out with the local community centers and the local churches. I was trained up by the police force in the area of leadership and community leadership, and so I became very proactive within my community in order to deal with some of my own health issues, and it really did help me to get planted, somebody that could contribute back to society with something quite valuable to give, which is an inspiring story of overcoming, but also a story of being an integral part of and member of society.
Awesome. I think the story is. Sorry, I just want to butt in there, David. Your story is incredibly inspiring, and it really, touches a soft spot in my life as well, as I can relate to that myself. I'm trying to go through the primary school years in Italy, and then migrating myself to Australia, and being challenged by language barriers and skeptics and just a whole combination of family issues that were in the way. But I can personally say that if it wasn't for those challenges and hitting rock bottom, I wouldn't be here today, sharing my words of wisdom, or my insight to life and my philosophies to success. And I think unfortunately, whether it's a bit of a catch-22, you've got to hit rock bottom, you've got to fail in order to succeed, and that's what great stories are all about. So there's a credit behind what you've had to go through in your life, David.
Yeah, I found that I was looking at one of your other Inspire talks with a speaker who's an international interior designer, and but also her background touches on orphanages, and then in the future she was going to help by giving back to communities through orphanages, and so it's really interesting how it's full circle for a lot of people. So I find myself in full circle where I'll be able to contribute back through third world nation orphanages. And this is all part of that journey, part of that hero's journey. But Yeah, with my mentor, it was launched, and within the first two months, we had 14 CEOs come on board, and it just seemed like there's this powerful quote that says that an idea, and in its time, is something that is powerful indeed. And I think this is the right time, this is the right space. Education as a whole, whether in Australia or internationally, is due for disruption. And not just disruption for the sake of disrupting education, but for looking at what purpose it serves in society and how it actually does or doesn't help us to achieve the outcomes that we desire for our lives, whether it be in the context of our dreams or our ambitions. I like what you said about how can you, pursue your goals and your ambitions if no one that's already been there can actually show you the way. That's what a mentor actually is. And so my mentor was set up to be a game changer in the education space and the future of education, which is education through relationships, not through chalkboards, as Stuart has mentioned. And so we're living in very exciting times in the area of learning through relationships and being connected to the right people at the right time. And we're just facilitators of that.
So how do you go about separating coaching and mentoring? And I know you've used the word coaching throughout your discussion today. Coaching is as important as mentoring, but they are also separate entities. Do you promote them equally as important, and are they integral?
Yeah, I look at both sides of the coin, and I talk to people that go to coaching seminars and get coaches on board to help them to achieve certain goals. I think that if you're a professional and you are ambitious and you want to achieve certain goals, that you need a coach, just like there are no professional athletes that are competing professionally without one. I think that if you're a professional in the realm of whatever profession you choose or desire, whether it's CEO, managing director, whatever level of profession that you're operating in, and you want to grow and increase, I highly recommend coaches, because coaches will keep you accountable, and coaches will keep you to your word and to an actual game plan. So I look at a coach in the Olympic space, and I think personal best. I always think personal best when I think coach. I think that he's going to challenge me that I can shave a few seconds off my personal best from yesterday to today, and I think that is absolutely invaluable. When I think of a mentor, I think of someone who has fallen down a fair bit and has experienced what I want to experience specifically want to experience in terms of my dreams and my goals. And so their previous experiences do match my future ambitions. And they care enough to see me through the same process that they went through, to show me specific insight into those ambitions and those goals and those dreams that a coach may be able to keep me accountable to in terms of game plan and action points.
So is every individual out there fit for a coach or a mentor, or does it take a particular person to best leverage on the worth or skill of a mentor or coach?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Is coaching and mentoring, appropriate for any individual or any person in business, or is it more successful for a particular type of person with a particular type of attitude or mindset?
I think that it really does it really does depend on the individual. There's a famous quote that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, I take that to mean that the student is now appreciative enough, understanding enough of the value of a person and the value that they can bring to the table to take full advantage of what the teacher is ready to give, to the point where it doesn't really matter if the teacher is there or not. They will find them because they're so willing and hungry for somebody to help them along the way. And so whether it's in the area as a professional, in the area of my profession, there needs to be a high level of appreciation for a coach to enter in and create effective outcomes for the person who's being coached. Now, it's the same scenario for a mentor and a mentee. If a mentor has achieved all these goals, I was actually speaking to somebody just a few weeks ago who's an original investor in Autodesk in the US, and he lives on the Gold Coast now. And he said to me that people don't listen to him when he mentors them, and he thinks it's because he's offering his services free of charge. And so it's an innate quality for people to naturally not value what they don't pay for, or what they don't pay for, they don't tend to appreciate and want to pay for. So there's an inherent connection between valuing somebody, valuing what they have to give. And I've spoken to a lot of mentees and people who are being coached and told them to value the people who are coaching them a little bit more in their relationship with them, and they've seen an increase. So it's both. I highly recommend it for a professional. I highly recommend it for an athlete. Anybody who's ambitious. This is for anybody who wants to achieve certain outcomes, measurable outcomes. Nothing vague or pie in the sky. These are real outcomes for people in the areas of their dreams, their goals, and their ambitions. I highly recommend, to the point where I recommend that you don't do it without one, both a coach and a mentor.
That's a good insight, David. I'll give you, Stuart, a chance to ask a question to David.
I'm just going to just remind everyone that they're watching InspireTalk, and we're here with myself, Stuart Harris, Federica Ree, and of course our guest, David Burkett. He's giving us some massive insights into mentorship and coaching at the moment. And perhaps in tune with what we were just talking about, David, perhaps I could ask you, a lot of people watch events like this or even seminars, and they hear the message, get a coach or get a mentor, but they sit there and they look at their personal income situation and they say, I really can't afford that. How do I do it? What would be your answer to that? How would you encourage somebody to look beyond the financial investment, shall we say, to ensure that they latch on to coaching or mentorship?
This is a really good question, because I speak to a lot of potential mentees and ambitious people who look at the finances as the primary stumbling block to getting the right people on board and pursuing their dreams and goals. And I tell them that, and explain to them that the way, the problem is never the problem. The way that we view the problem is the problem. And so finances, I explain to them, are never actually the real problem. The real problem is the way that we view finances. And so I tell people exactly what you just said. In response to that, I tell them that do whatever it takes to begin to value what is valuable to your life. Because if you try to get it for free, or if you look at finances as the stumbling block to making your dreams come true, you'll never get off the ground. You'll never move forward. And so I know people who are investing tens of thousands of dollars just to personally grow themselves in the area of education every year, and I highly recommend that. But these are people who really value people, and who value the wisdom of people and the knowledge of people, and you'll find that it's in their best interest as a growing individual, as an ambitious and growing person, to begin to value other people and pay them and do whatever it takes to get the right people on board, and to pay them really well to do what they do, because people are valuable, and if you're going to value them, you're going to see a lot of value come from that. And I know there's a specific quote that goes along those lines, which talks about what you appreciates in your life. So whatever you appreciate, whether through finances, whether through saying thank you, it actually increases in value in your life.
Good advice. And look, we were talking earlier on, even I think it was in the green room, about whether people were capable of identifying what they need to do to progress their lives, or even to step outside their comfort zone. And we talked about comfort zone at the beginning there. How would you advise somebody who was just sitting there watching something like this and saying, I can't do that, how do I do that? Or that's beyond me, these people are doing something that I'm not capable of. What would you give as an advice to that sort of scenario?
Okay, I would probably share the story that led to the point where I was homeless. I was living in Canberra as a teenager, and I was completely isolated from family and friends because of my life choices. And I had reached the point where I was I had nowhere to stay, and I had no residence. And every morning I woke up thinking that I shouldn't be homeless and I shouldn't be in this situation, and I do have ambitions and goals and dreams, and I do want to pursue them. And I didn't know where to start. I didn't finish high school, and so I had no connections, I had no finances. I just didn't have a way to move forward. And I had a choice, though. I could either wallow in my sorrow and think all day long about how I how I got dealt the wrong cards in life, but instead I chose to pursue success. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be successful. So every morning I woke up, and somehow I associated success with reading. Now, I never read in high school, but in my mind, I sort of summed it up that, I saw successful people with big libraries, and successful people were really well read. And so I made my way to the local library, which is free of charge for people who want to go and read. And I made my way down there every single day and asked for books on how to be successful. And as a homeless person, it took me a few months to get out of my homeless situation, but through reading I found a way out. And then a few months later, I had finished my first book and then moved on to my second. So what I would recommend to these people who want to see a way forward but can't see a way forward out of their particular situation is that there's plenty of people who are worse off, who have accomplished and done great things with their life, and worse off than my situation. But there's what I say to people is that it doesn't matter how many people don't believe in you. It only matters whether you believe in yourself or not. And so get the first things first, which is believe that you can go beyond your current situation and stand up and do anything, even if it's making your bed every day that you don't usually do. Disrupt yourself today and start doing something that will make you a better person tomorrow. For me, it was maybe reading a page in a book in a local library every day, but it was something, and I was moving forward.
That's very thought-provoking stuff, David. If I can just throw in a few words there myself, if you can define the formula to success, there's two things for me, and this is what I've experienced: is you've got to hit rock bottom, you've got to fail in order to succeed. That's the first one, and I said that before. And the other one, in relation to the comfort zone, is pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone into an area what's called the ultimate performance zone. And a good coach is a person who can understand what those thresholds are between the comfort zone, the ultimate performance zone, and then what lies beyond that, which is the anxiety zone. And you don't want to go there, but that ultimate performance zone is where resilience, stamina, performance, productivity, foresight, and all those great skills that we humans possess really come out and shine if you can tap into that. And like you said before, a great athlete is only a great athlete because of the coach who has pushed that person to that next level. And even though it's painful and it's scary and it's frightening to kind of go outside of that comfort zone, to end this, I can say if you stay in a comfort zone, you ultimately die. Because there's no inner drive that pushes you to that next level, and it's when you're sinking and you've got to learn to swim is where you experience that ultimate performance area. So I think it's fascinating, and it's definitely a recipe to success. but it's suitable for select individuals. There are unfortunately a large percentage of people out there in business often, you know, might understand or acknowledge what they've got to do, but don't want to go there because it's just too hard. So they're shooting themselves in the foot and basically removing the opportunity that they have at hand if they just simply give it a go. And that's where they have to trust their coach and their mentor to simply, you know, put their foot in that water.
Yep. I completely agree, and if I can, you know, comment on that, it's the time is now. There's no time to waste. Whether it's advancing technologies or the employment rate, or you know, or a wave of other things that are attacking us as a human race, artificial intelligence included, nanotechnology and such. People are either preparing themselves for the future or they're staying in the same place. But if you're staying in the same place, then you're actually dying. And I have told people that if you're not moving, then you're dying. And if you're not growing, then you're dying. If you're a plant and your purpose to grow lemons, and you don't grow lemons, you will rot and you will die. And that's just nature. And we can learn a lot from nature. So there's a big call for people who care, such as yourself, Federico, and yourself, Stuart, who are putting the call out there. If you do need help, there are people that have put their hand up and said, okay, we've disrupted ourselves to the point where we've got, you know, key chemistry to help people to actually move along and to get things going so they can prepare themselves for the future. And we actually do care, and we actually do want to help, and so reach out to us. And mymentor.space is a place where you can sign up for free and get connected to the right mentor. We're a boutique matching service, and we look at the right people for you, for your specific situation. We don't just recommend anybody. We filter everyone that's on our platform. And that's what we need. We need the right people at the right time to help us forward.
Fantastic.
Awesome. We're talking to David Burkett, and David tells us that you have a choice, we have a choice, I have a choice, and also he says find a way. You know, just don't sit there and wait. Find a way, and a lot of really good stuff coming out. Gents, we're going to lead into the close of the show this evening, and I want you to consider a couple of perhaps pointers or golden nuggets, as I like to refer to them as, before we round out. But can I just go back to you, David? And can you, if somebody comes along to My Mentor right now, just give us a rundown of exactly what will happen when they subscribe into the website.
Okay, so to sign up is free of charge, and what we do, if you're a mentee, we profile your specific situation, and we look at what ambitions and goals and dreams you have, your current situation, but also your future aspirations, and we put you on file, and we start looking for people that match your specific situation, and then we start recommending certain people your way, based on your profile and based on your ambitions. It's the same thing on the mentor side. Mentors are signing up, and the funny thing is, a lot of mentors are signing up as mentees and mentors. So we have you know, over a dozen CEOs who have signed on, and but more than half of them have asked to be a mentee at the same time, because if you're a professional, then you're growing, and you need to, there's no top of the ladder, so to speak. There's always room to grow. There's always room to move forward. And so they get profiled and they get matched. And these two elements are really, really important if you want real success stories to come out of the community. You need to match people correctly, and you need to ensure that the relationship is managed every step of the way. For mentors who jump on the platform, we turn them into professional mentors in a short few weeks, and we give them the right training and the right facilitation for training to ensure that they enter the marketplace, you know, on the best foot. And so we have performance coaches that are helping mentors to ensure that they get their business of mentoring up and going as well in the marketplace. And so we're a community based network, and we feed off our community for business and for leveraged relationships.
Awesome, David. And the place to go for that is mymentor.space. So you can see that in the URL under David's name there on the screen. And David, while I'll let you collect your thoughts for a couple of nuggets, I'm just going to cross over to Federico.
Nice.
And Federico, something that you can impart with us before we leave?
I guess I've got to let the cat out of the bag and say that I've had the exclusive opportunity to partner up with David and be a coach or be part of his scheme within Victoria and actually lend a hand with regards to entrepreneurship coaching, a niche market that I'm in, and I've found it extremely valuable for the mentees and the clientele that I've come across, and the help that I've been able to offer them at this point in time. There's one more thing I wanted to say as an analogy. What is a mentor? And if we think of a mentor as someone who provides guidance and keeping someone on track, a mentee who aspires towards achieving a big goal or a big dream is like trying to reach Mars, and it's a long-distance journey. And the mentor's role is to ensure that spacecraft is heading in that right direction in a straight line as much as possible, to avoid the spacecraft from drifting aside or going sideways or backwards. And I think that's the role of a mentor or a coach, is to ensure that as much focus and straightforward direction is given to that craft, so that Mars mission is accomplished. And that's where I get fulfillment and enjoyment, seeing that path take place and that landing on Mars actually happen. So that's my final message for tonight.
Yeah, always huge value in coaching and mentoring. And with that, I'll come back to you, David, for a couple of nuggets.
Yeah, on that same train of thought, I learn a lot from nature, and I think about when a tree grows, it creates a pathway for the next tree to grow even stronger and taller. And so a mentor for me is someone who wants to see somebody grow and flourish even beyond their own achievements, because that lends towards something that we call a legacy. And a lot of us who are mature enough are starting to think about this and are actually doing something about it. But we've come to a crossroads as a as the human race, and in many ways we've come to a crossroads, and we're taking back our liberties, and we're taking back our rights and our right to learn and to educate ourselves through relationships. And that's what mentoring actually is. It's reaching out to the right people and growing and doing great things based on the synergy of the relationship. And so I also want to offer in my last thoughts as I'm commenting, a special for anybody who signs up on the My Mentor website and does mention InspireTalk, that we'll be offering 30% off the first mentoring session for them to get a taste. If finance is a barrier, that we'll be offering 30% off. All they have to do is mention InspireTalk when they do sign up on the website, which is www.mymentor.space, and you'll be greeted by one of our friendly staff in regards to that.
Awesome, thanks very much, David. And so we've alluded to a lot tonight, and there's been a fantastic content that's come out from probably all three of us across the last half an hour. But as David has mentioned, the opportunity is now. The world is awash, and the potential for you to achieve in great leaps and bounds is here right now. And the first step to doing that is, of course, plugging into the program at mymentor.space. We've just heard the offer there, 30% off if you mention InspireTalk. So what I want to say is you're welcome to go there. Don't feel like this is something forced. This is something for you to explore. Go and have a look, check it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, that's fine, but I'll tell you what, Everyone needs mentorship. Everyone needs coaches. And if you don't believe me, just ask any professional sports person. With that, we're going to round out, and I'm just going to close off with one little thing that David has told us today. He says it doesn't matter how many people believe in you, it's how you believe in yourself. And with that, thanks very much, David, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for coming along. We'll see you next week.
Bye.